And finally, it might seem hard to believe now, but there was a time when the Watford Gap motorway services near the village of Watford in Northamptonshire were the height of 60s cool. Well, now the owners of the M1 stop-off say the site is well past its sell-by date. And with a surge in electric cars, they're planning an entire rebuild. Ellie Pitt now on the end of the road for an original British landmark.
Drivers have been turning off into this service station for 64 years. Watford Gap was the first stop to open on the UK's first motorway. It's had some touch-ups over the years, but now its operators are proposing a full redevelopment of the site, including upgrading its original 1960s buildings and increasing the number of electric vehicle charging points. Most customers today think it's about time.
You turn up and there's a lot of people using them and you end up having to wait, and then that puts a lot of people off wanting to go and use electric cars.
They could do with some improvements, and I'll be honest with you, I'm Muslim, they probably could do with a halal restaurant as well.
Well, I'm a lorry driver, and the lorry park could really do with some redoing, I think. But the service station itself seems fine.
It's been like this for a long, long time.
When the M1 motorway opened in 1959, stretching from Leeds to London, it offered motorists faster travel.
For on this magnificent road, the speed which can easily be reached is so great that senses may be numbed and judgment warped.
Starting out as a petrol station and some toilets, Watford Gap, or Blue Boar as it was known, became a hit stop for touring bands like the Rolling Stones and Pink Floyd. It's also been said that Watford Gap marks the north-south line. Anything above it is the north of England. But that's debatable, so I sought out some expert opinion. Rich Cross calls himself the service station king and travels around the country visiting them for his website. As someone who travels the length and breadth of the country, is Watford Gap the gateway to the north or the south?
Well, that's what brings you back to the cultural significance of the site. It's always been seen as that halfway point. I think it's a little further north these days, but when the site was built back in the 60s, it probably would have been around about right, being the M1 only being between London and Leeds at that point.
While the world around Watford Gap has changed, the service station has remained largely the same. Now its operators want to bring the original pit stop into the modern age of travel. Ellie Pitt, ITV News, Watford Gap.